Well, 4:35 now, and kids are wrapping up the first week of school. One of the last things that gets done in the summer is the approval of the district's budget. Over the last 3 years, a big part of it has been figuring out how to spend millions of federal dollars that were given to schools to help rebound from the pandemic. This money came from the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan, and it's called the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER funds. Each one of our districts receive a set amount based on enrollment. Take a look here. In totality, this is how much each of our local districts received over the last 3 years. Palm Beach received almost $600 million, St. Lucie County $141 million, Indian River $47 million, Martin $43 million, Okeechobee $29 million. This is all a lot of money. And each district has to use all of this by the end of next month. And while no superintendent would ever turn down extra money, it did create a bit of a shell game to use it effectively for 3 years and then figure out how to live without it.
Yes, we spent it all, which was our goal. We didn't want to leave anything on the table.
Well, like the rest of our local superintendents, Palm Beach County's Mike Burke says he made sure he spent all of that free money.
Coming out of the pandemic, with the virtual instruction had its share of pitfalls, so we had a lot of catching up to do. So we did a lot of tutorial programs. We did expanded summer school programs. We added about 350 positions to our schools.
Those positions are gone now, but he says none of those people were laid off. They found other positions in the schools they were working in. Meanwhile, Indian River County is able to keep some of the positions they've created over the past 3 years.
This district didn't have middle school counselors in elementary school, if you can imagine that. So we were able to add those counselors right away, and then over the course of the 4 years, work our budget so we can continue to have those positions.
Dr. Moore says they also put ESSER funds on upgraded reading material and reading interventionists, which has shown immediate benefits. Indian River County started the pandemic as a B district and ended as an A district.
The fact of the reality is we are one of the few districts in the state of Florida that are actually in a better academic place today than we were before the pandemic. So the learning loss that may have been experienced across the state or nation isn't a real thing in Indian River County because our students are outperforming where they were before the pandemic took place.
Superintendent Dr. John Prince in St. Lucie County says his district still has not caught up to pre-pandemic learning levels. He spent much of the ESSER funds on laptops for students, an upgraded summer program, and professionals specifically intervening with those who are struggling.
So all of those folks got placed. However, we found some of it that it was so effective, we had multiple interventionists at each of our schools, and we've held on to one of them because we want to make sure that we're not losing our instructional momentum with some of the initiatives that we started.
And are we expecting the summer programs to still be around?
It's not going to be as robust as it's been with the summer programs because we simply can't afford it. I mean, in the past, you had summer mainly in elementary school. It was for third grade students, special education students, and also our ESOL students. Over the past 3 years, we've serviced all of our students. We won't be able to sustain that level of funding moving forward.
Martin County Superintendent Michael Main says 90% of the ESSER funds were used for new positions, some for instructional coaches who have now taken other positions in the schools, and others were for mental health professionals.
We did not lose any of those positions. The board was very adamant about making sure that all of our mental health positions that may have been funded through ESSER were completely funded through the general so that all of our mental health supports continue to be in place.
New superintendent in Okeechobee County, Dylan Tedders, says they try to be very strategic with ESSER spending, saying they didn't add too many positions, dreading this day when that funding was going to go away.
You can't have those services in place for 3 or 4 years with this federal money, and then all of a sudden, because it's gone, you just think those problems are going to go away. Students with exceptional education are still going to need those supports. Students' mental health problems, issues are not going to go away. So those supports are going to have to stay in place.
Yeah, Mr. Tedders really kind of nails it down there why this is all important. No doubt these extra interventionists or tutors helped kids that had fallen behind because of the pandemic. They've been doing that for the past 3 years. But many of our districts say those they see that kids are still behind after all this time, and none of those interventionist positions are not around. So we're going to see how that affects how kids do this year. We'll have to watch the long-term impacts.
Yeah, it was really interesting to kind of see how the different districts broke down their spending, what they used those funds for, you know, what went on behind that in the decision making.
Yeah, so certainly you kind of heard a little bit there about why some of the superintendents decided to do different things. The state and federal government had rules about what they could use. You couldn't spend it on anything. It was supposed to specifically mitigate the learning losses from the pandemic, right? So they couldn't put it towards things like teacher salaries, but they could put it towards laptops, even though that might not be a direct correlation, things like that. As long as they use all that money by September 30th, they're good, and then what's left goes to the state. So that's why each one of the districts wanted to make sure it was all gone.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job at that. Probably easy
For
to
sure.
put it to good use. Great job.
Hi, I'm Sam Kerrigan for CBS 12 News. Click the like and subscribe buttons if you want to see more stories like this that impact you.